Welcome straight to Gamers to another GBHL YouTube channel video. You're here with your channel host GBHL James, and I'm bringing you another hobby vlog, one filled with guilt because it's currently Friday afternoon. I haven't had to go into the gym because the guys have got PT, although I'm heading over there in about 40 minutes, and I was looking to make some progress with my Rivendell Knights, which are down there, and no progress has been made. And that's because, as you saw in the last hobby vlog that I did, I unboxed some of the Guild Ball miniatures that were sourced for me by Guild Ball Informer, Jay Finnegan. Because after unboxing them, I have to say, I was like, you know what, it's 6-7 models. I've just done 6 here that I think are going to be my team, although I'll get the boiler done at another point. He looks a bit fiddly, so I've left him for now. And I thought, you know what, it's 6 models, it just gives me a little bit of a break up from doing the Rivendell Knights. Yes, I could have been painting Mounted Legolas, I know this. Yes, I could have been getting the Rivendell Knights finished off and maybe working on some dismounts, but I just wanted a change of scenery. And I was a little bit inspired by, I know that GBHL Jamie does a kind of like meet the team as part of Guild Ball TV on a Tuesday, and that is shared with the Guild Ball Informer channel. And Jay Finnegan did a Meet the Butchers, which came out yesterday, and I watched that and I was looking at the models, and of course those are the models that I have, and those are the models that I've done practice games with. And I thought, you know what, I've just got to get these guys out and just assemble them. You know, it was easy peasy, and I thought this isn't going to take too long. So I'm actually going to talk a little bit about how I got on with that and how they are as models. I have to say, these are very, very, very nice models to work with, although there are some very, very fiddly bits. So the first one that I did here was Brisket. So she's the striker, she's the goal scorer of a team which isn't designed to score goals. As you can see, she's leaning forward quite a bit, and with these bases, one of the things that was pretty tough and pretty difficult was that the actual sort of slotter part of the metal model itself did not fit. You know, it wasn't wide enough to fit in the gap, so trying to hold her in place while getting the super glue on was pretty tough, I have to say. No flash really to get rid of here, no real mould lines. I noticed there seems to be a little bit of corrosion on the metal model itself, but you know, I'll only see when I'm doing painting whether that sort of affects it. But really a very, very nice miniature. The arm was a bit fiddly to put on. Again, you can see that picture there, it was that her right arm, so the left one as we're looking at it. It was a little bit fiddly, it wasn't quite clear how to do that at hand, but I like the idea that she's pointing forward and kind of leading the team forward. So I did her first. You'll also see on all of the bases here, what I've done is I'm actually experimenting with a new technique, and that's because I want these guys to be looking as if they're playing on cobblestones. I want them to be playing on cobblestones. My battery's going to die any minute, so I'll have to plug this in. And to do that, I used some filler, which I actually used for filling in some holes where there was a botched attempt at putting a banister in. So just ready to use filler. I put that on, and then I wet my little sculpting tool, which I have never, ever, ever used. Never, ever used, not for what it's for anyway. So I just wet the ends, and I just smoothed that in on there, which I have to say kind of held the models in place that little bit better. So what I'm hoping to do is when that dries, I'm then going to etch in cobblestones, and then that's when I'm going to prime the whole miniature, because like I said, I do want it to look like they're playing on the streets. The easiest miniature to put together here was the team captain. Oh, zoom in the wrong way. This guy here in the middle, this is Ox. So there was only one part really to put on him, and that was his kind of axe there. Very, very clean model, no flash, no kind of mould lines at all, great detail. Actually, I think out of all of them, probably the most impressive in a lot of ways, and one of the only ones whose slotter actually fit in with the slotter. Difficult ones to put together. Well, the connection points on these guys are pretty small, but he was pretty easy. His arms went on reasonably easy. That left arm, just getting it into the right position was tough, just working out the contact points. Actually, surprisingly, the dog Princess I found quite hard, because 2 of these tiny little legs come separate, and I actually made the mistake of gluing the miniature in first into the base and then trying to put it on. I just had to take it out because with my fat fingers I just really couldn't get in there at all. So that was Princess. Now this guy, the big guy, again, just surprisingly difficult with the base going in, but he's such a big dynamic model and pose. You know, you just got to absolutely love that guy. I love putting him together. I'm looking forward to getting some paint on him. And then we got this guy, Shank. Now, he looks incredibly dynamic there. I'm sure you all agree. But how he's gone, I'm not sure if it's supposed to be, but how he's ended up in the base, he's very sort of forward leaving, so he's very sort of top heavy. However, he's not going over. I am worried about transporting this guy. Because you can see those chains look pretty frail, it has to be said, but a very lovely miniature nonetheless, and maybe one of my favourites in terms of the dynamism. So that is, I'm actually filming this on Friday, so this won't be a complete hobby vlog, so I'm not going to sign off, because I'm hoping over this weekend I will get a chance to do the cobblestones and maybe talk you through that effect and see if it works, because I've never done it before, and I actually want to do that with some Warriors of Erebor that I've got downstairs, which could be cool. Although if you can't be bothered to do that kind of technique, which I'm trying here for the first time, then of course if you want cobbled bases, go to Generation Shift, type in Generation Shift into YouTube channel, check out one of the channels that we subscribe to. He does some cobbled bases which are great, and they're not a lot of money. And then hopefully once those are primed, I'll probably leave them alone and I'll make some progress on the Rivendell Knights here. The next step is I'm going to be doing some Doomball Brown onto the sword sheath, the elven blade sheaths, and also, where else is the Doomball Brown going? Onto the quivers as well. Before I sort of put on a little bit of gold detail on those. So that's the next step for those guys, making slow progress. And then it should be some of the bigger chunks which will start happening on the black unpainted guys, and maybe I'll do the base, and then they're not a million miles away. So hope you're enjoying that so far, and hopefully there'll be more to see after this clip now. So Strategy Battle Gamers, it is now Monday, and I'm coming in here because I'm about to crack on, not just with a little bit with these guys, which I've obviously got distracted with, but there are some things of course to do for the Rivendell Knights, because the Nova Open is pressing, as is the Longbottom Carnival, which I'm looking forward to going to. Okay, so when I came in last time I showed you that I had used like a filler cement to sort of fill the bottom of the bases, and then once that had dried I scraped in these cobblestone patterns, which I think have turned out really good. Now on purpose I also kind of chipped away, sort of provided little chips and nicks in there, because that's going to help when it comes to the dry brushing. I even did some sort of broken paving bits, so that one there at the front there, you can see that I've chipped away a little bit more. That's it at the back. Here we go on Thor, the big guy. You can see that there's quite a few kind of like broken cobbles, as it were, there, which looks quite good. And then the same with Ox the leader. So I'm really chuffed with how that turned out. It was a reasonable amount of effort, I have to say. I think Shank here, he's got the most sort of bits of cracks. He's a really dynamic miniature, but I can see how this guy would break quite easy. But lovely models. So what I'm going to do now, now that I've given them sort of a prime coat, is before I make some progress on the Rivendell Knights, which I need to do, I am going to dry brush the pavement slabs at the bottom, the cobblestones, and I'm going to just do a dry brush of Eshin Grey, then a dry brush of Dawnstone, which is a bit lighter, then I'll lighten up the Dawnstone again, maybe either use some white or use some bleached bone to do a final dry brush, and then I might put an ink over it, and then I'm probably going to use the technical paint Blood for the Blood God, this one here, just to make things look a little bit messy on the base, because of course these are the butchers, although I might wait until I actually do like I was thinking about trying some green stuff for the first time, and maybe making some guts and some, you know, bits of offal and bits of animal that I could put on the bases, and then maybe use the Blood for the Blood God there, but I'm not too sure about that yet, or I might just wait until I've actually painted these guys up. So yeah, this is how they're looking at the moment in their prime state. As you can see, wonderful models, and I'm looking forward to getting some more paint on them, and I'll come back when I've made some progress. Okay folks, we're coming back in because I have pretty much finished these bases. Quite happy with them for the time being. I think the next step will be putting some paint on the miniatures, and then if I feel that a little bit more needs doing with the base, like I say, some blood splatters, maybe a bit of inking to create that depth in the crevices again, because it has lightened up a little bit, then I will do that. So let's have a little look at these guys. What do you think about those bases? So you've seen the process from start to finish. Well, that's not a miniature, that's the edge of the table. So I started off with a dry brush of Eshin Grey over the black, then we went for Dawnstone in with the remnants of the Eshin Grey, then pure Dawnstone, then I used Karak Stone with the last bit of Dawnstone, and dry brush that over, and then a final tiny little dry brush on the edges, edging the white. Now I am thinking of, like I say, putting a bit of ink on it just to create a little bit of depth again. Might be slightly over highlighted, but that is those guys. So I'm pretty happy with these. I'm not going to put any more paint on them apart from maybe that wash, because next up we're going to make some progress with the Rivendell Knights. And so I'm back with what is probably going to be this week's last instalment of the hobby blog, because I've been trying to make some progress on the Rivendell Knights. Now, lots of the little fiddly bits I've done today, so you won't see a huge amount of progress, but you'll see a couple of things which do make a massive difference. So what I have been focusing on is I have been highlighting up some of the like the girdle straps, and also the stirrups, highlighting those up, getting some brown on those. I have also been painting the quivers and also the elven sword sheaths, and putting the bit of gold detail on all of those, and then on the ones which are the most unpainted, I've also painted the base layer ready for the cream pants in Mournfang Brown. So let's show you a few of these before I clock off. So here we go, this is how they're looking. So I highlighted up the girdle, as you can see, and then you can also see the quiver there has been painted, and then if I flip him round you can see that the sheath of the elven blade has been painted too. So I'll show a few of these, and let me know what you think in the comment section below. I am getting up to the big jobs now on the guys who are in black, so, or who still have the most black on them. So they're going to look pretty done soon. So you can see the quivers and the blade and the sheath. And so what I did for the elven blade sheath and the quiver was I used a Doomball brown, which is like it's a kind of reddish brown, and then I highlighted up with a corn red, just a little dry brush on the edges, and then the gold is Auric Armour Gold. And because it's just little bits of detail, I'm not going to go over that with any Runefang steel. I think that it picks up pretty well all by itself. And then for highlighting the stirrups and the girdle, I mixed in a Tau Ochre, I think it's called, in with the Mournfang Brown, just to give it a little bit of an edge highlight in places, which has worked out quite nice. I'm very happy with them. As you can see, that these guys are pretty much done. Now I've got to do the arrows, and I've also got to finish the bows, but then these guys will be ready for the battlefield. Oh, and also some of their faces just need to get a little bit of highlighting in there. And this is the captain model, he still needs his hair doing, as well as those things I just mentioned. But there we go. Let's show some of the progress on the guys in black. So really, just lots of silver and red really left to paint on these guys. Once the silvers and the reds are on, well, the silver in particular, these guys are going to look done. But the next step after I've done the arrows is going to be painting the pants of these guys, and then it will be the silver on these guys. and highlighting up the silver. So when you see these guys next, they should really have come on quite a bit. There we go. And then once I've done those, I will be focusing in purely on the mounted Legolas, which you saw at the beginning of this little series of hobby vlogs, because he is going to be in my Nova Open Force. I had the decision really, did I take another Rivendell Knight captain and a couple of Rivendell Knights, but I thought, well, Legolas is worth a Rivendell Knight captain and a couple of Rivendell Knights, but you know, even with just with his shooting rules. So there we go. I'm really chuffed with the horses still, I have to say. Really made up with them. And of course, I'm probably going to want to make a little bit of progress with the Cobbled team here. I'm still really chuffed with how the bases have turned out, and I'm going to use that technique when I do some of my Warriors of Erebor. When I do them conversions, there's a bunch of them downstairs in the cellar that have got their axe hands removed and were given to some reavers. So what I'm looking to do is green stuff up some sort of elven sword maces, which are really cool. So this is the last one here. As you can see, that bit of gold detail really does just make that little bit of a difference. And like I say, I really like the way that I've kind of painted from the bottom up with these guys. The sheath will probably, so the actual lance, that'll probably be one of the last things to do, apart from of course the silver blade at the top of it. But that and the bow on the backs will probably be the last things to do. And then these guys will be done. So I hope you've enjoyed this hobby vlog. I'm getting it up late on the Monday night after getting a few days in where I've managed to get little stints of painting. I'm not sure how much more I'm going to get done now. Jane's just at the supermarket, and I want to spend a bit of time, but I might even be able to film an X-Wing bat rep, because it depends really. She might be keen to do another game of X-Wing. Okay guys, so don't forget to comment, like, share and subscribe. Make sure that you follow us on Facebook and on Twitter, and if you can, support Jamie on Patreon because he hasn't got a job. Support your Hobbit hobby guys, and happy strategy battle gaming.